again, thank you all for joining. I know the title says mindful parenting, mindfulness parenting, but we are basically going to talk about a couple of things. We're gonna cover in 30 minutes mindfulness. We're going to go over grit, and we're going to go over so we're going to cover mindfulness, we're going to cover grit, and we're going to cover one more thing. So let's see what that is in a second. So for some of you who don't know me, my name is Braco Pobric. I am the best-selling author of the book Habits and Happiness, and my work have been endorsed by a number of these folks. But let me just move on. So why don't we just take a deep breath first before we get started? So ready, set. I know if you are on the phone, if you're driving, please be careful. If we sit down, just let's take a deep breath. Right, that feels good. So I want to share a couple of things from the latest from the International Positive Education Festival that I attended and presented my workshop a few weeks ago. We're going to cover a little bit literally what is mindfulness, just a high level, how to celebrate failure. I know this may not sound right for some people, but yes, we do need to celebrate when we fail. We are going to talk about grit and what grit is all about. And one thing that I didn't say in the beginning, we are going to talk about growth mindset. So fixed mindset versus growth mindset. And we're going to do a few mindful parenting tools. I prepared this earlier from another workshop that I actually did a few weeks ago. So let's move on. At the International Positive Education Network Festival in Dallas, where I presented my work on habits, there was so much about positive education, applying science of positive psychology in educating others. Certainly, there was a lot about educating kids, being in a elementary school, high school, colleges, but it's also about educating everyone else. So when one of the largest colleges in Mexico did this with like 60,000, I believe, people, and they sent, I believe they had about 90 people over there, 60 people out of about 1,000 people they had from this university. They basically educate everyone. So if we talk about positive psychology and we want people to understand the tools, it is all of us, starting from not just the students, not just professors, not just the teachers, but from a bus driver, from a janitor, from everyone else. So that's really how we're going to and should implement the tools in a positive education. I'm going to spend just a couple of minutes on mindfulness. So really, what is mindfulness? So I think the best definition I found was by Dr. Jon Kabat-Zinn, and that is being in the present moment on purpose and not judgmental. So being in the present moment on purpose and not judging that moment. It is really not doing, right, versus doing nothing. When we sit on a couch, we do nothing. But when we're not doing, when we are in the present moment, that's what mindfulness is all about. Root of mindfulness is really Buddhism, Taoism, and yoga. And people often ask, what is the relationship between mindfulness or meditation and religion? And really, the only really connection of mindfulness is really you are connecting yourself. That's really what it's all about. There is no connection really with religion. Although, like I said, in some religions, certainly in Buddhism, they do practice meditation. You can certainly see a lot from work from Ralph Waldo Emerson and Henry David Thoreau and Native Americans. You see how they really practiced mindfulness. They didn't call it back then. And again, you'll see a lot of work from Dr. Jon Kabat-Zinn on the MBSR, which is mindfulness-based stress reduction program. So really, if you look at this, which I believe for some of you that are seeing the screen, you can see, I picked up this picture somewhere on Facebook, but it really talks about, are you mindful, which is all these things going on in your mind, or are you mindful and you're focusing, just seeing the tree? And even people on the phone, you can really understand it. So there is a big difference there. Um, I was about for us to do a little bit of meditation, but I'm going to skip this for now and just going to give you some mindfulness and meditation benefits. These are all research based, right? So everything really that I teach, most of it is based on science of positive psychology. Some might be neuro-linguistic programming, cognitive behavior therapy, neuroscience, but it's really all scientifically proven and based. So some of the benefits are certainly better parenting, relationships, less injuries. How many of us got hurt just because we were not in the moment, we were not mindful? Being successful more at work, certainly mindfulness contributes to that. Really our overall well-being, becoming happier, and much more. But what I would see is, people say that, well, you practice mindfulness, then you feel relaxed. It's actually the other way around. Relaxation is really the side benefit of mindfulness. It is really the side benefit. It is not, you don't meditate so you will be relaxed. You are relaxed because you meditate, right? You're going to be reducing stress, helping with difficult emotions, controlling anger, feelings, desires. All these things are really research-based benefits of mindfulness. Believe it or not, there are mindfulness research practices that are dealing with chronic pain, physical and emotional, dealing with depression, dealing even with substance abuse, eating disorder, borderline personality, and much, much more. For some of you that are on a webinar and seeing the picture, I'm actually showing here Dr. Mikhail Csikszentmihalyi, who I was present at the Fourth World Congress of Positive Psychology last year. And most of you know his definition and his work on flow. And I would like to connect that flow with the mindfulness, right? So being in a flow is really when your skill is really high and your challenge is high. So skill is high, challenge is high, you're truly in a flow. You can think of, when you were a kid and, playing a soccer, playing a baseball, playing the basketball. Well, when nothing else mattered but that moment. So really the way I see it is being in a flow is also being mindful. And as Dr. Tal Ben-Shahar, great friend, my mentor, really, really one of the best, coolest guys in the positive psychology, said that flow is really meditation in action. And I think it's important for us to really understand this. One thing that I always bring to everybody's attention is that it is great that we come to these webinars and we get all these tools and we go to 5 days workshops, but really the key is, what are you going to be doing differently based on what you learn? So again, as we go through this, just the 30 minutes, think about what can you apply? What are you learning that you can apply in your life? Fail. If you look at so many people, pretty much everyone failed before they succeed. And we can look at failure as a failure, or we can just say that there was just the first attempt in learning. So let's celebrate. Let's celebrate failures when our kids fail. As long as, again, it's not something that it's terrible. Let's celebrate. Let's make sure that they understand that that is a way to success. Some work by Carol Dweck is on growth mindset, and I do want to spend a few minutes on that. And it's really important. And she talks about, fixed mindset versus growth mindset. And we can look at a couple of examples. But, if you look at fixed mindset, you can say, or if you are a kid, or you can say to your kid, well, not everyone is good at math. Just do your best. Or we can just say, oh, look at my next Picasso, right? That's really the fixed mindset. The growth mindset would say, when you learn how to do new kind of problem, it grows your math brain. So it basically shows the kids that their brain, and it is true, will grow based on what they do every day. And it is important for them to understand that they need to put some effort in order to make things work. It is not just because we tell them they are smart or they have skills that they're gonna succeed. It is much more than that. And now we come to grit. So what's the grit? It's the tendency to pursue very long-term goals with commitment, passion, and perseverance. Commitment, passion, and perseverance. And obstacles are seen as challenges to overcome rather than indicators to stop. And this is definition by Dr. Angela Duckworth, who I was with in Dallas, and she really gave a great presentation. And Angela Duckworth, if you want to look at her work, is really an amazing individual. Certainly did a lot of research on grit. So let's go briefly on what grit is, and this is from her latest work. So what is grit? It's really passion plus perseverance. That's really when we get to grit. I'm just going to switch the screen briefly to make sure that everybody can still see. Looks like everybody is good. Okay, and I will move my screen just a tiny bit so I can see what's going on. All right, so talent and skills are really not the same. You got to remember this. They're not the same. Talent is also different than the effort. And what it really takes to succeed is deliberate practice. It's really being fully engaged in what you're doing, and it's also getting immediate feedback and following up on it. The famous research, and I think most of us in positive psychology will go to Dr. Anders Ericsson and his research on really what differentiates a great performance. And it is really number of hours. It is really working on what you normally do and focusing is on 100%. And some of his research shows that deliberate practice and 10,000 hours makes it that you're becoming an expert and really succeeding more than your colleagues. There are really 4 components of grit. There's interest, practice, purpose, and hope. So growth mindset, as we discussed briefly, and again, we can talk for days just about growth mindset, but I give you a little bit overview. It really leads to grit. And there is a website here that you can jot down, or if you're just on the phone, just go and look for grit score and Angela Duckworth, and you'll find it. And you can basically go on and kind of look at your score on grit. I put the quote, I took a picture when Angela was giving a workshop, and she put the quote of Darwin, who said, "I have always maintained that men did not differ much in intellect, only in zeal and hard work." Also, she was explaining that the talent times effort is really skill. So that's how we get a skill. We have a talent, we put a lot of effort, we get a skill. And then we take a skill and we multiply it by effort. And that's really how we get achievement, right? So we taking that skill and multiply effort, and that's how we get achievement. And deliberate practice is setting up a stretch goal. By the way, for some of you on the phone, I will go through a few more slides and then we'll open up for questions. So it's really deliberate practice is setting a stretch goal, then focusing on it 100% on that stretch goal, getting a feedback, then reflect and refine based on the feedback, and just keep getting this stretch goal. And that is really what deliberate practice is all about. So let's spend a few minutes on mindfulness strategies for kids. So what's really important is that if this is not important for parents, it is not important for the kids. So you really have to make sure that it is important for you before you can make it important for the kids. In a lot of schools, they do mindful breathing. And you can certainly do this in school. You can do this at home. there are some applications that I shared recently in my mindfulness workshop. Something is called, there's one called breathing bubbles, and one is called settle your glitter. And they actually done by this company called Momentous, which I believe I will be going to Dallas again in a couple of weeks, sometimes in October. They have a large conference. The one thing we can tell to our kids is, I need to behave, and then blank, whatever you need them to behave, when no one is looking. See, that's really the key. We want them to be who they are. We want them to be who they are when no one is looking. Not when everybody is looking, right? Because then that's when they really want to behave well. There is also something called The Power of Yet by Dr. David Yeager. And this is amazing tool to use with the kids. And if they actually with adults, with us, you can just say, I'm not good at languages, and just say yet, right? That gives you the space to learn new languages. When your kid comes from school and says, I'm not good at math, just add yet, right? You're not good yet, which means you have a space to learn. One of the tools in positive psychology that we often use is the 3 good things. And it's basically writing down at the end of the day, 3 good things that happen to you. It's funny, I'm looking here on Facebook and I see my friend Claudia, and basically it was her daughter who came to us one day and said, hey, by the way, my mom read your book and she just loves all this stuff, and what she does is her and I sit down before I go to sleep and we write down 3 good things. So thanks, Claudia. Really appreciate that you bringing this to your daughter, and we can just now spread the word and have everybody do this. Mindful seeing, in the workshop I brought the big huge glasses, and basically you can buy this for like a few dollars and give it to your kid and just tell them, hey, go spend next 15 minutes and just walk around. And these are the magic glasses, and you're going to see all kinds of things. You basically want them, this is the way to teach them mindfulness without talking about mindfulness. Child success portfolio. You really want to put all these great things that your child did and kind of put it in a portfolio so that they can see all the great things, so they can see the good things that they did. Because again, positive psychology is all about what's good with us. It's not about what's wrong with us. And I'm really, again, glad that a lot of teachers are doing this. And if some of you are teachers out there, I would highly recommend that, to look for some of these tools and implement them. Again, for some of us that have a kid, so live with the kids, or with the couple of things that we can do. We have a number of daily opportunities for mindful parenting, and we're always in a hurry. But what about if you wake up early, then you spend the time waking up your child, right? So you connect. What when you dressing them up and you connect with them? When you feed them, when you ask them how was their day, when you take them to school, when you eat together, right? You can talk about mindful eating. Discussing the movies, really asking them what went well in school. Who was your good friend today? Instead of just asking how was your day. These are the questions that can bring the positive mindset in with our kids. So these are just some of the ways that you can get a hold of me. My email address for some of those that cannot see the screen on the phone. It's Braco, but it spells Braco at Habits and Happiness, just like the name of my book, habitsandhappiness.com. We can connect on Facebook, on a page, and for some of you that are in a Metup group, I really, really appreciate you coming.